everybody, it's Dennis O'Brien. I have been absent from this show called Let's Talk About It for 2 weeks or so. I think Susan has been carrying the ball by herself with her guests. But I'm back tonight with Matt Rupar and Susan Johnson. And Let's Talk About It is on the air. And we're raring to go, right, Susan?
Hey, Dennis, it's great to have you back. It's wonderful because you add so much to the show. And I know you've been out there doing busy, doing all kinds of things. And you're going to fill us in on some stuff that you've been working on with respect to some of the town meetings we've had, which have been excellent. And we've had some great shows, lots of people showing up to the town meetings and voting for great improvements for our town. And I have to say, we have had some wonderful improvements, and they're still ongoing. I go over the bridge, the Frog Bridge, and I look at the Gilson Square, and I think, isn't that beautiful? And by the way, Dennis, did you see what they did on public television, Rhode Island Public Television, last night?
Wayne Norman said it played all over the country.
Yes.
Our
Frog Bridge was on the air. And boy, what a great thing. We had a wonderful history with Bev York. We had also wonderful information and science on frogs and all kinds of biological issues with respect to the frogs from Susan Herrick, who I had no idea had such a background on frogs. And having the history of the Frog Bridge presented so beautifully on public television was just great. I woke up. In fact, I had constituents sending me the PBS YouTube part of that show, and I recommend everybody to go and check it out on PBS. And I asked my press aide to help me out and post it on my website and my Facebook page because it's a great thing to have that information, to have that history. It just goes to show you that Windham works. Windham's wonderful. Windham has great history, and Windham is moving forward.
I heard it several times this morning. I watched it on Facebook. Susan Herrick's mom, Marianne Zader, sent it to me, and I watched it, and I gave her a thumbs up. And I didn't have much time to do anything else because I was heading off to a doctor's appointment. But I'll tell you, really proud of Susan Herrick and Bev York. What a great job they did talking about the Frog Bridge, the frogs, and the background information from Susan Herrick about. I guess she's a herpetologist. At least she probably does a lot of things.
I'm sure she does more than just that, but that was a wonderful thing where she had the sounds of the different types of where the bullfrogs get together and how they sound. And when they're distressed, they do sound like they're starting a war of some kind.
Yeah, I mean, she had a recording of a single bullfrog, and then she also had a recording of. She created a recording of a whole bunch of bullfrogs would sound like if they were in distress, and it was amazing. And Rhode Island Public Television is to be commended too for finding the story, for finding the right people to do the story. And once again, I'm really proud of Windham, proud of Susan Herrick, proud of Bev York, and proud of the late David Phillips for making that happen. I mean, he had more to do with it than anybody else with his book, Legendary Connecticut, and his advocacy for those frogs on that bridge. And it's just so great. This is such a great town.
It is a great town, and I did mention that when I sent the PBS video over to our children and grandchildren. I did mention David Phillips for his Legendary Connecticut book and how he promoted the idea of putting frogs on the spools so that, we would really have a great chance to teach the kids about what's going on and give a little more history.
Well, I heard Wayne Norman as I was heading out to my doctor's appointment. He played the whole thing on the radio.
Yes, I heard it.
And he followed that up with a song by Sally Rogers, who used to be the Connecticut troubadour, along with our friend Hugh Blumenfeld, who was the first Connecticut troubadour who lives in Andover now. But Sally Rogers is from Pomfret, and she was the Connecticut troubadour for a while, and she wrote a song about the frogs. And, that song that goes, something, she says something, people are saying something good about it, and then some people are saying, a waste of our time, a waste of our time. And you know what, as somebody who's been involved in local politics now for so long, in this town or in any town. It's true of any town. There's always the loyal opposition. And people think politics and government is easy. It is not easy. It's not easy to get things done. And you know what? In Windham, it's getting easier and easier all the time because more people are getting on board with the program that the town administration and town council, board of education, people are really on board and they really appreciate it. And I looked at the house sales this week. I always look at the sales to see what the the values have gone way up, and it's amazing. It's amazing what people are getting when they sell their homes in Windham, and that's a sign that Windham is attractive because that's why people are willing to pay more, and it's attractive in so many ways.
It is attractive, and it's this is just another thing that makes us unique because we have the garden on the bridge, we have the frog bridge, we have the Whitewater Park. We're taking advantage of the fact that we have 3 rivers running through Willimantic, and that we have all these opportunities for great recreational opportunities and beauty, creating beauty for our downtown area. So it's really and it is becoming a wonderful place to do all kinds of things, to have a business, to go out to eat at night, to go to a play at the Burton Levitt Theater, and I guess they're going to have a great play coming up shortly this weekend. I think it's
the Theater Guild is doing Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
And it's, Frankenstein, as Mel Brooks said, and Mel Brooks had them say that in the movie. It probably is in the play as well, but they're doing it tonight, and I think it runs through next weekend.
Yes, that's a wonderful thing, and it's something that we got to actually promote because it's great to have people come downtown, have a bite to eat, and run off to the Burton Levitt Theater to see this great theater, this great play at our theater. And having a great community theater like the Burton Levitt Theater is just fabulous. And we need to also get back and have some of the people who put these things together on Let's Talk About It, so that we can do this. But we've had some wonderful guests in the last month, and I know we'll have some more wonderful guests coming up in a few short moments. But in any event.
Well, anyway, I just wanted to say I was talking about the controversy over the frogs.
Yes,
that
please.
happened.
Yes.
That
Most
people were behind it and were supportive, but
right.
There were people who were opposed, and there's almost always people opposed. But you know what? Earlier this week, we had a town meeting for spending projects on the agenda, town meeting for bonding, and they all passed unanimously. And, some great projects, and one of them was one that's near and dear to you and me, and that is the renovation of the 3rd floor on the town hall, which used to be the Windham County Superior Court.
Absolutely. That's something that I've wanted to do since I actually worked on trying to do it when I first became the state rep. And, now it's wonderful to see. It does take time to get everybody on the same page, but that's happening now. And having everybody there, they were upstairs. Many of the people who came to vote went upstairs to look at the 3rd floor and see what we have there. And everybody was impressed when they were up there. It's a very impressive 3rd floor. And the town hall can use the room. So it's going to be a fabulous renovation, and I'm very excited to see that come to fruition.
Well, when I was in the probate court as the judge for 12 years, I used to go up there a lot and dream, and dream that we would someday renovate that beautiful set of rooms. And it used to be the Board of Aldermen when they had an alderman in the city of Willimantic. Former city of Willimantic, they used to meet up there. They had a meeting room, but more important, they had these courtrooms up there and offices for the prosecutors and the public defenders. And but the courtrooms are gorgeous. The windows are like huge, and the woodwork is amazing. It has enormous potential to be turned into, the local regional probate court. This is what I was hoping for. Years ago, even as I left the court, I'm still excited about it. Judge McGrath is excited about it, and he was just appointed Oh, around July 1st, he was appointed to be the administrative judge of the area children's probate court, which covers all of Windham County and half of Talon County. I was the first to hold that position years ago. Now John is in that position now, and John McGrath, Judge McGrath, and my goal was to have the regional children's probate court located on that third floor in the former Windham County Superior Court. That was the place where the major cases in the whole county were tried, criminal and civil, and that was before we moved to town. It was when I got here and I started working with legal services, the circuit court was downstairs. That was still there for a year or two, or three maybe after we got here in 1974. But the Superior Court, the upper division court upstairs, had been closed because they built a new courthouse on Valley Street, and more important, a new courthouse in Putnam.
Yes.
That was the main court.
Danielson.
So the main seat of the court was moved from Windham to Putnam.
But they also then built the Danielson Court subsequently.
That was much later. That's right.
That was in the 90s, I believe. Because I think I remember going out there when I think it was then Attorney General Blumenthal, I think, before he became the senator. He came out and we had an event opening that Danielson Court. I mean, the Danielson Courthouse, where some of the housing and criminal work was done.
I was privileged to speak at that event, and there was a huge crowd.
Yeah.
And I think Tom White was just elected sheriff, county sheriff at that time, and that was a wonderful event. I mean, the place was jam-packed with people.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Anyway, this project is a great project, and I think when it originally came up, when you and I tried to get it going, I think we were told that it was going to cost $10 million, and you could spend $10 million up there, no question. But they're going to spend $3.5 million and do the basics,
right?
And do the basic rehab. And people are going to be really pleased with it when they see it. It's pleasing enough in its condition now, where it hasn't been used for over 50 years.
Right. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
And it has, if any building has potential, or any real estate structure has potential, it's the third floor of the town hall.
It's interesting.
And I'm so excited about it.
I am too. It's interesting too because past renovations of the town hall. I remember when I was on the council, and we even needed a roof. I mean, that's how basic the work was. It had to be done. There was a lot of things over the last 30 years that we've had to do, whether it was renovating the roof or making sure that the second floor was actually renovated. And I remember when that occurred, it was when Bruce Bellingham actually put it together to bring the Victorian Neighborhood Association to the second floor, and they were working hard to do the first snowball to raise money for the Victorian Neighborhood Association. Andrew Gibson, and it was his creation. Well, I mean, actually, the snowball, yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, but we did it because we found out that we could utilize our museum for a visitor center. And so when the chamber closed, our weekend visitor center was the museum. And that was actually my idea.
That was. You're talking about the Thread Museum.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
That was back in the late 1990s, early 2000s.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic. And, so many great things have happened. I mean, I know I left a probate court in beginning of 2011 was my last stint as a judge of probate.
Yeah.
But I can tell you now, I spent 12 years working in that town hall, and when I walked the halls of that town hall looks so much better now than it was when I was there, and it has nothing to do with my not being there. It wasn't the fact that I wasn't there anymore that it looks better, but it looks so much better. That's because of people like the gentleman who just came in and joined us.
our mayor.
Our mayor, Tom DeVivo.
Welcome, Tom. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well,
Really
thank you.
appreciate it.
I was just in Stop and Shop, and I wasn't watching the clock, but it's a busy store in there.
It's a good
so-
thing. We love that.
But it was very busy in there, and we had the Rotary Golf Tournament today, so that was really good.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. So that's great. It's great.
Raising
That's
money for the Rotary to help do their charity work.
wonderful.
Wonderful. Now,
And you're talking about Town Hall. What a great opportunity to talk about the building and all the good things will happen when we get that third floor. The plans we had available for people to view were done in 1998. 25 years.
Yeah.
that was when I started in the probate court, 1998. I
Yeah.
was elected in 98. I started in
That was
January
like
99.
third grade.
98?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. See? So,
He was
but
a baby.
he's a baby. But you know, it's
Matt
it's
Rupar, that is. We're talking about Matt Rupar.
Matt Rupert.
Our
But it's-
producer, he's here smiling, and he's really pleased to see Tom DeVivo as we are.
As I am, I'm pleased
very,
to be here too.
Very thrilled that he-
And I'm
he's
sorry
here.
about the phone ringing. I had it in my pocket and
No
realized
worries,
it was
no
going to
worries.
be
We're
Don't
on.
glad
worry
you're
about
here.
it. We're just glad
But
to have you here,
it's,
buddy.
it's great to us to be here once again with you two famous people, and there's so much happening in town. But with Town Hall being fixed up, it's going to expand. I mean, we've been paying to heat that place for 30 years and not using it, so we might as well use it and make it a better place and for the community to be able to utilize and have meetings at. There'll be 3 meeting spaces, and I don't think we've settled on what we're going to do with the balcony area that used to be for the big ballroom.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
That
Because,
was great. Yeah.
Well, it'll be a balcony. That's what.
It'll be-
Well,
well,
but
What
do
else
we
can you do
but
with
we
it?
take the seats out and make it a level floor and have
Oh,
a room in there. You
well,
have a
that's-
room.
You know, it's.
Because it's
You're
not,
being more creative than I am, so.
Yeah.
But I just think of it as a balcony, but my goal has always been to have the probate court up there, and that would be good. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's
I could
my
picture
goal.
you standing in that big courtroom with the jury and everything. Like,
No,
Judge
no.
O'Brien.
No, there's
Oh,
no-
do you have a gavel? Because I have a little tiny one.
You know, I had
haven't
one.
seen it.
I'm not the gaveling type, you know.
No, I
was-
wouldn't think so.
No. And in fact, I would.
When you walk in, does everyone have to stand up when you walk in?
No, not
Okay.
for me.
I've seen that on.
I was a
TV.
people's judge. I was somebody who, if somebody got out of line, believe me, I would let them know. And that didn't happen too often.
That
but it
hasn't
did-
changed.
But it did happen.
Well, let me say that about the probate court, because the probate court is pretty much set up for the non-lawyer in so many ways. It's set up to make it more user friendly for people to go and use and be part of the whatever process they need to go through. On the other hand, if you have complicated legal issues, you really should probably have a lawyer. But most of the time, it's set up in kind of like an administrative.
Right, but if you had something before the probate court and you could afford an attorney, you could
Right.
bring one, right?
Listen,
You
I
can have an attorney
I did
with you, right?
Of course, yes.
I did a lot of when I was judge here. I did a lot of traveling around and doing cases in other courts. For example, in Plainfield, I can remember doing a few cases in Plainfield. If the judge in Plainfield had a conflict of interest and couldn't participate, they would, send a visiting judge up there, and I visited, and I visited Colchester once. I walked in the courtroom. There were 6 lawyers in the courtroom. I said, "Oh my God, I've never seen more than 2." And I said, "This case must involve a lot of money," and of course it did. And I had the situation where I asked the lawyers. I said, "All right, one of you lawyers want to tell me, bring me up to speed. I'm not familiar with this case. Tell me what it's all about." They all looked at each other, and it was like, like it's their hands over their mouths,
crickets,
and their
crickets,
ears, and
crickets.
I said, "Well, okay, guys, if you're not going to tell me," I said, "I'll figure it out for myself." And but it'd be a lot easier if you tell me. But not a one of them spoke up. Anyway,
No, that stuff I'm sure happens.
that's a great story.
Because
No.
I have, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I've been executor for 5 or 6 different estates for people who have passed, and the probate judge always helps you through it. So you don't always need a lawyer if you can't afford it. You
That's
don't
right.
need an
That's
attorney.
right.
It's a user-friendly
It's
court.
very
It is.
it's
That's right.
all and it's
Thank
easy.
you. Yeah.
And if
I
you tell
agree.
the truth to the judge and you're honest,
Always tell the truth.
nothing bad happens. But not only is probate judge run out of town hall, there's so much that happens with the building, and we are working towards a new IT platform with our new IT director who will be starting full time soon, and that's exciting because we need to upgrade our website. We'll never be perfect, but I'm hopeful we can create a position of a social media expert that can keep it updated. We'll probably have a Facebook page that won't be live. It won't be multi-user. You won't be able to come in and vomit all over the town staff and all over the town, which happens on Facebook. I'm sorry, people know what I'm talking
You got
about.
the trolls, the trolls,
And
the trolls.
so,
Yeah,
but
the
you'll
trolls.
but we're going to use it for a platform to feed information, and
Correct.
Correct. We're going to try and update the sign. That was the newest thing at our town. The big sign.
Oh, the electronic sign.
Electronic sign.
Yep.
The planning and zoning said no less than 30 seconds, and
Oh, they don't want people. They're looking out for safety.
right. But we could probably get away with 20.
That's a great
So,
safe. That's a
you know.
safe spot there with the
is.
four-way stop.
But we want to follow those. That procedure will be on the 2 new ones. We have 2 new ones coming in.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. That's
you know.
right. That's under the ARPA. Yeah.
The ARPA money, and ARPA. I want to stick with the signs, so we are going to try and get that down to 20 seconds. So we'll have to send the town council will send a note, I guess, to planning and zoning, and then they change the rules because we follow the rules that planning and zoning has instructed us
Of
for that.
course.
Well, they
Yeah.
have
Very,
they have,
very good.
They have jurisdiction over signs.
And
Well,
we're not-
I just want to
for
ask you a
safety's
question.
sake.
Where will the other 2 signs go?
someplace
Has that
else.
been decided yet?
No, I think-
someplace else. That's a good answer.
Okay.
it's not-
All right. So you're heading.
I was told one's going to go near
Right.
Park Springs at the
Okay.
Mansfield-Wyndham line there.
Okay.
And the other one, I was told somewhere near Blondie's, but I'm not so sure how they're getting power to that one. So that's subject to use.
Well, you want it where there's
We
a
have
lot
to
of
electricity.
where there's a lot of traffic. And,
A lot of traffic.
But it's got to be in a place that's relatively safe, because you don't want people rubbernecking and driving 50 miles an hour,
No.
and that's not good to
Well,
watch. Just look at
But
the
they'll be
sign.
coming off the exit from,
Yeah.
from Route 6, and
Well,
but you have to have electricity. So
the
Well,
I,
you
traffic
wanna-
engineers will figure it out.
Well, you want to have a traffic light probably,
Right.
like you have where the bridge is.
Yeah, I
So
think
traffic
so.
light
right,
would
we
is a
know
good
that,
spot. Yeah.
right? But we know we have power down by Park Springs and the end of
Yes.
Memorial Drive, so there's power there, and there's
There's
Lauder
some
Park.
stoplights
So
there.
there's Lauder Park, and there's some. So that's a good site. And the other site, where I was told I went out there. I'm always the person that looks at the full picture. You know, how do you get electricity? And,
Yeah.
and maybe we'll put
No,
solar.
that's
And
good.
that's very practical. Yes. it's
Maybe
good.
I want to be practical
You're a
about
practical maritime.
it. You know, I want to be practical about it. I
Yeah.
don't want to spend a lot of money on electricity, but perhaps we could do it on solar. I don't know about
Well,
that.
probably could. I think that's a great idea.
That sounds
yeah.
good. Yeah.
I
I
like
saw a
that.
solar golf cart today, so.
Very nice. That's great. I want solar chargers for our phones, please.
No wonder you're all tanned up. You've been out on the course.
You
It
can,
wasn't real sunny today,
you can
but you're
do
still getting
a-
the sun.
yes.
Anyway, we're told by Matt Rupar that it's time for us to stop talking, and let's hear from our sponsors. And we have some great sponsors, and especially want to point out the Gates Group, Columbia Ford, and you know the
HGMC.
Gates GMC, and you know they've kept us on the air all these years, and I know the people out there that are listening are happy for it. I know I'm happy for it. Susan's happy for it. And of course, Matt Rupar's happy for it. Tom DeVivo. We're all happy to do this and try to be another way to get information out to the community.
Right.
Thank you. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Susan Johnson. I'm here with my co-host Dennis O'Brien and our very special guest this evening, Mayor Tom DeVivo. And we were just talking about all the wonderful things that we've done and moving forward, all the things we plan to do. And we're just talking about the 3rd floor of the town hall and getting that renovated. And we had a wonderful turnout to get the vote out for supporting the idea of renovating the 3rd floor, which is going to be fabulous. It's historic. It's beautiful. It's got great features, and we're going to be able to utilize it again. So I'm very excited that we had such a great turnout, and I have to thank the council for their amazing work on this to bring this forward to everybody. Looking forward, because I know it's all about the future, right, Tom?
It is all about the future and tomorrow. And, you know, we can look, it's great to try and, you should know your past, you don't recreate your mistakes, but you're still going to make some mistakes. You can't say, well, I know the past really well, and, you know, I'm not going to make any mistakes, but you will make issues. And one comment I want to make about the 3rd floor renovation is the clock. What really spurred me to get going is about 2 years ago, I was coming out of a meeting, and the fire department's out in front of town hall because the big dial was falling out of the building.
Oh,
And
no.
I said, you know, Jim, we have to find a way to do this. And we had just started the high school project, and and then we had election cycles, and so we had the opportunity. We wanted to get started on refixing the third floor, but the clock, the mechanism is being dropped down to the third floor, so you will be able to go into the third floor by elevator or by the stairway and go to the third floor and see the clock and all the how it works, because the clock is, it's just a matter of dropping down. There must be a name for a pendulum arm or something like that. I think a pendulum that comes down, and it's a much longer one, and it'll just the clock. You'll be able to see all the working, the mechanism, and to be in a plexiglass box, and so you can bring kids up to see how things work. And so some of the features we're going to be doing up there will add to meeting space and rooms that we need, and hopefully the council can meet up there, because we struggle in the ballroom. The ballroom is a good room to have a large meeting like we have.
Beautiful room.
But acoustically,
Yeah.
it's I don't know how much. You both of you know this. I never quit. I have tried so many different ways to fix the acoustics since I've been mayor. To putting in curtains, to putting in soundboards on the wall, to add some items to the ceiling, just seeing how it worked with the fans on. We have ceiling fans. Turn them on, turn them off. How does it work? And then that all takes time during a council meeting. We have just tried. We're meeting up on the stage. We did that last week inside the ballroom. That worked well, but we had some technology problems with the hybrid. People could hear us, but I guess it was echoing. So there is a way to fix that. I actually talked to Colin Rice here from WILI, because he is a sound engineer.
Yes.
And he said he would come up and see what he can do. So I don't know how that's going to pan out, but we got to just keep trying new things, and just keep trying. We can't give up on saying we can't use this room because it doesn't work. We'll
That
get
room
it.
is great, and
But
I'm
there's not a council member
No.
and any party that says I haven't tried everything to make it as
Functional.
user friendly. Remember I was elected first time I was mayor. I was just filling in for Victor, and then we went to COVID, and I became like a COVID mayor. That was challenging, and we're going to keep trying new things. We're never going to give up, and there's always somebody smarter than me that will show me how to do something.
Well, I know that when you keep trying, people will help, and it's great that you keep trying. And I remember when I first was elected back in '89 to the council,
Right.
and it was called the Board of Selectmen then. And at that point in time, that room wasn't used at all. It was full of junk, and it was really kind of a mess.
Boxes.
And boxes and the refrigerators. People had some of keep their lunches in their refrigerators up there, and that was about it. But it was really terrible. And we were just talking about this earlier before you walked in, about how Bruce Bellingham worked really hard to bring the Victorian Neighborhood Association in there to clean everything up and fix it over. And here we are today. And we had the snowball there, and we hopefully will go back and have some snowballs at some point in time in the future, but couldn't do it with COVID. And I think everything's starting to come back a little at a time, but this is an excellent thing to keep the town hall and start to make it all functional from the third floor all the way to the bottom.
Correct. And there's other buildings. That's why we try and maintain our buildings. 'Cause
Yes.
we do a little bit of work. That's what part of that money was for the school buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, the community knows there are plans for new schools and developing our schools, but if we don't maintain what we have, it becomes a real challenge. Now, not everything can be maintained all at the same time. We only have so much money and so many funds. You have to kind of watch, because I do take it personally, as I know Susan you
yes.
do, and Dennis you do. This is not our money. If it was our money, I'd run out of it. I'd spend so much, but it's it's definitely the taxpayers' money. So we're very prudent and thoughtful, and we try and keep it. That's why I work so hard to make our meetings so virtual and so hybrid. Am I perfect? Absolutely not. But I'm getting there.
Let me just say something about the taxpayers' money, because if we maintain things, it costs a lot less to keep them going than if you just let it go into disrepair. Always, always, always. So if you look at the taxpayers' funds, that's the way to make sure people's money is preserved, is to keep things up, because once you let them go, they cost a lot more.
I can speak that clearly. The town chose not to let the high school roof go before the renovations. It was 10 years ago, at the high school, maybe 12. High school roof just continued to leak, and they weren't fixing it. It didn't pass. When we finally were able to pass it, we had to fix walls. Ceilings were rotted.
Right.
Floors had come apart. We had to retile the floors and then polish floors down.
Yep.
So by letting that leak continue, where if we just got on it immediately, we wouldn't have to do all the other work
That's right.
that we had to do just to make it a good place.
And I know that because when you have a leaky roof at your house, you want to get it fixed as soon as possible because
Correct.
you don't want to have mold, you don't want to have a rotten house, you don't want to have these things happen. So, these are things that we should do with our government buildings as well.
Well, I mean, I remember the old ad from some auto repair joint saying, you can pay me now or you can pay me later. And if you pay me later, it's going to cost a lot more. And that is so true. And you both especially are very, very good at that. And I think our town council is good at that. I can remember, for some reason or other, I was not on the town council. I might have been the Democratic Party chairman, but the Board of Education wanted us to pay for a new curtain for the stage at the high school, and it was debated and debated and debated and ultimately defeated. And it was a relatively low amount of money compared to what we're spending today on necessary items.
And the challenge that I remember that. I
remember that
I don't
too.
think so. I think we ended up getting it passed.
You were on the Board of Selectmen? You probably were on
and
the board.
And we were like, no, because you're correct. We did pass it. But by saying no, the other one, they were unable to have drama classes because it wasn't even fire retardant anymore.
Right.
So it was like,
it was
dangerous. It was like,
Yeah.
what's the matter? We have to, you certainly want to put your children in danger.
No.
And so we had to cancel drama. And Victor Funderburk, Mayor Funderburk,
Yes.
he was a drama teacher, and he
was driving
was
force behind it.
he was beside himself that we were stuck with the curtain. But now the curtain has been repaired, and it's.
Speaking of Victor Funderburk,
Of course, I don't know what they did with it.
I think him winning that election and becoming mayor was a watershed. That was a turnaround. That was a turning point in our history. And then you followed up with him, and you've carried the ball. And the council has come along. The council is works together most of the time. When you have votes on things, usually it's not close. Okay, because the time.
No, you're right.
You and the town manager set the agendas for the meetings, and you take the lead on that stuff. So you're not bringing up stuff that's off the wall. It's all stuff that's needed, and it's reasonable, and it's all And Susan helps an awful lot at the Capitol. Obviously, got a 95% reimbursement rate for the high school. I mean, that's amazing. And every time I go by that hospital, that high school. Every time I go by that high school, I'm rubbernecking myself, and I can't help but look. I said, "Wow, look at that! It looks great already just from the outside," and I can't wait to get in there and check it out.
Me
I know
either.
Randall Prose, who's a really strong member of our council, as well as doing a great job as our football coach and a teacher of I think he teaches political science or teaches history or
History.
Some social science type stuff. I mean, he's like delighted with the results so far, and I can't wait. That is the jewel in the crown of all these things that we've done, including the community center, and the best looking parking garage I ever saw downtown. That's been a big success.
And one thing about it, if any listeners out there have any concerns, it is maintained by Public Works impeccably. It's been they use big leaf blowers and clean it out 2-3 times a week. It's maintained. It's clean. There's been some graffiti, of course, that they've gotten right in there and cleaned it off, and so they do take care of it, and because if we maintain it from day one. But as we grow things, this is important to know, as we grow things, the parking garage, you have to maintain it. As we improve Rec Park and Plains Park with all the pickleball courts, we have new pickleball courts.
Right.
We put a drain, and we have more events at Shaboo Stage, which is wonderful. we put a strain on our resources, and that we just need to keep that in mind. That eventually we're going to have to grow that payroll.
I'm glad you brought up the Shabu stage, because our fearless leader here at the station, or one of them, he's no longer the top guy, but he's right up near the top, and that's Colin Rice. You mentioned him before.
Of course.
Emailed us and asked us to ask questions about the noise at the stage for certain performances, about the sound equipment that's being used.
I think it was also the automobiles that tend to have very loud, noise when they drive around.
Automobiles.
So I mean, it's not just the stage. We hear those things, I think, all the time. Maybe when we have an event at the stage, there's maybe a little bit more because we have more people in town. But I think that's part of the problem is the fact that some people really blast the radio, and it's kind of like a little bit too much.
And I did attend that car show. I got there around 2:00. It was loud. We had one event that was really loud, but it had. I can say this. It was the largest attended event we've ever had. Mm-hmm. There was probably 8,000 people there. Now
that's going to be loud, yeah.
But we learned some of the things. We can't have. They start at 10 in the morning. When I heard it was a car show at 10 o'clock, it didn't give me much. Okay, car show starts at 10 o'clock, right? I didn't think about it. I didn't think there'd be so many people and so much music. But there's church. So we have churches right there on a Sunday. It was a Sunday. Yeah. So if we're going to do one in the future now, we will consult with the churches nearby and try and have it maybe start at noon and then go to 5 o'clock if it's on a Sunday instead of ending at 4. Don't just make it longer at the end.
That's important. That's important.
That was important, and we've also learned the churches have had some other challenges because I know Colin is very faithful in Loretta, but we have had performers on stage that come across on their microphones inside the church because they have wireless mics.
Oh,
and our wireless, they brought in wireless. So
that's beyond me.
Who would have known? Who would have known?
Until it happens, how do you know? Who would even think of those things?
No, wouldn't think of that at all.
Well, that's probably part of the problem.
So Dave Foster has worked on that, and he's found a solution by working with Father Larry or someone else at Corpus Christi. So I'm sure he's, so that doesn't happen anymore. We will find ways. Things are going to happen. But to think we had a car show that was loud, and it was our largest event, and we've had some very famous.
We've had some really big events.
Big events, and it was by far the biggest event, and we had 5,000 people at our Latin Fest, and that's less than was at this car show. So,
wow,
it just we're gonna.
I wouldn't have known that having a car show would create noise. I mean, I think when I think of a car show, I think I'm looking at the different vehicles, the types of motors, how they run, how old they are, the transitions from one type of motor to another motor. Those are the things that I think of when I think of a car show. I don't think about a radio.
I don't even think about
them. These weren't necessarily antique cars. These were.
Well,
I'm trying to think of a better word. No, they weren't. They were.
But you've gone to even
What's
if they're
a
not,
better word?
you go from a transition to the hybrid, then you go from that to the electric. I mean, you have all different types of motors. You have you've gone from the 8-cylinder, 6-cylinder, 4 cylinders, and to less than a 4-cylinder. I mean, those are the kinds of things I think of when I think of a car show.
All right, correct. This is and maybe there's a better word for it. And when I say these were tricked out cars, there were Jeep. There was a whole.
Ooh, Jeeps.
There was like 50 Jeeps that were 2020s and up.
Wow.
But some had giant tires and big giant snow guards and big speakers and.
I just should have gone to this.
So they were all, but they were. I'm sure there's a different word for it. I'm struggling here trying to think, but they were tricked out. They had Volkswagens here that had. Really high, that the cars that jump up and down you see in the TV. I saw a couple of those. So it's okay. It's just we didn't expect that. That was the type of car show it was. Versus we're having one soon for veterans. So that'll be what you're talking about. There'll be the 8-cylinders. They'll come in. They'll put a 6-cylinder engine in a old Nova or something. And but these cars were many of them were relatively new Hondas and all jacked up, big giant speakers, and it was more like a festival. I will say, and I can't really, because I saw it.
Yeah.
Some gentleman had speakers so loud you couldn't stand next to it. Your face was
Oh.
moving, and he's standing with 2 kids.
Oh, that's terrible.
I mean,
You're
who's
that-
watching it for
who
the
does that to
children?
little ones,
Because,
yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
They'll have hearing impairment.
Let me just say something about that, because as someone who sits on the education committee, our former chairman of the education, Robert Sanchez, Representative Sanchez from New Britain, as an early childhood educator, and every single time he sees somebody doing that to a little one, he goes and he taps them on the shoulder if they're available, and he says, "Don't do that to your children's ears, because you're going to make them deaf, and you're going to make them so that they have hearing problems." So to put the kids in that kind of a situation is a really, really bad thing. It's child abuse, really. Of
You
some
know, I don't
sort.
even know if that man could have heard me if I walked. That's how loud it was.
Yeah,
I
no,
would
I
have
mean-
to get him.
Well,
It was
yeah.
just so loud, but it's not
The
relevant.
important thing is that you're aware of it.
Yeah.
David's aware of it. The town administration's
Town.
aware of it, and you're going to do something. You're doing something.
We're
about it.
definitely taking action. We're going to monitor it more closely and pay attention.
Yeah.
Thank you
know.
for that.
But
Appreciate it.
It's like
That's
all
great.
these things happen, and
Yeah, you have to respond.
Yeah.
These things
remember,
that you
if we
don't
didn't,
expect.
if you didn't have the car show, you would never know that something could happen.
That's
so.
right. That's right. You're not going to know that.
Hey,
unless
we're
it
running
happens.
down to our
Run-
last minute,
last
so we want to
minute.
have our mayor say the last few words.
Last few words.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Thank you for having me. Well, we have so much
I haven't
going on
said
in town. I want you all to check out the website called Why Wyndham. Now, this website is not for you, the listeners here. It's for the person that lives in Torrington and thinking about doing something in Wyndham when they bring their child to college or live somewhere else, maybe another state.
Ashford.
Not Ashford, but someone who's coming from far away who's never been here. So keep that in mind when you check out Why Wyndham. And there is a spot where you can get on and make suggestions. Is it perfect? Of course not, but we're working on it. It's only been up one day.
Is this on the town website?
I got to check that out.
It's
Or is it on
just
Facebook?
whywyndham.com.
Uh-huh.
It's a great thing. We were recently on with Scott Haney was here in town. He
Wonderful.
went to Bliss, Triago,
Right.
and
I
Stone.
saw that.
And then,
Yeah.
you know, so, and we also had our frogs on PBS, so you can go online and find
Oh,
a
we
YouTube
talked about
video
that for
about the
quite a
frogs.
while already.
Yeah.
Susan Herrick and Bev
Susan
York,
Herrick.
and wow, they did a great job.
I will say I love Susan Herrick, and she's a lovely person to know, but she's the only frogologist I've ever met.
Yeah, me too.
Proctologist, is that a word?
Well, I think it was.
That's
I'm
what
gonna
she
have to look that one up.
herpetologist?
Yeah.
Herpetologist,
Yeah.
Herpetologist.
Yeah.
Herpetologist. H-E-R-P.
Just, you
not
know,
herb.
when you meet, you know,
Yeah.
she had like a little
Anyway.
video. But anyway, but it's
Uh-huh.
great. Wyndham's a great town. I look forward to helping you all out succeed and keep up the good work on your
All
radio
right.
show.
We're looking forward to working with everybody. This is Susan Johnson with my co-host Dennis O'Brien. Have a wonderful week, everybody, and thank you so much, Mayor DeVivo. Appreciate
I want
it.
to thank Matt Rupart, too, for his great job. He always does a great job getting us on the air. Thanks, Matt. And thanks, Tom and Susan. And we'll have another great show next Friday. Thank you.
See you.